The slap echoes through the pristine marble halls of Lux and Crown like a gunshot. "You don't belong here. This isn't some charity case thrift store." David Blake spits, his pale hand still trembling from the impact against dark skin. Naomi Carter touches her stinging cheek, tasting copper in her mouth. The flagship Manhattan store falls silent. Every crystal chandelier seems to hold its breath. She doesn't flinch, doesn't cry out. Her brown eyes, calm as still water, sweep across the frozen tableau of shocked customers and gleeful staff. They see a black woman in simple clothes who dared reach too high. They don't see the billionaire who owns every marble tile beneath their feet. Naomi straightens her spine, a slight smile playing at her lips. You'll never imagine what happens when the truth finally drops like a hammer on this stage of prejudice and pride. Naomi Carter steps through the gilded doors of Lux and Crown at 2:47 p.m. The October sun casts long shadows across Fifth Avenue. She's chosen her costume carefully. A plain white t-shirt from Target, well-worn jeans, canvas sneakers that have seen better days. No jewelry adorns her fingers or neck. No designer bag swings from her shoulder. At 43, she commands a luxury empire spanning 200 stores across 4 continents. But today, she moves like any other woman browsing on a Tuesday afternoon. The security guard barely glances up from his phone. The greeter, a young blonde named Brittany, offers a smile that doesn't reach her eyes before turning to fawn over a woman dripping in obvious wealth. Naomi's fingers trail along a glass case displaying watches worth more than most people's homes. She built this empire from nothing, starting with a single store in Detroit, fighting tooth and nail against every barrier the industry threw at her. Now she owns it all. The inventory, the building, the very air these people breathe during their shifts. But they don't know that. Today, she's conducting an audit of a different kind. The whispers start immediately. "Security, keep an eye on that one." Jennifer, no, Claire Reed, murmurs into her headset, not bothering to lower her voice. "You know how they are." David Blake emerges from his office like a sharking blood. 45 years old, silver at his temples, wearing a suit that costs more than he pays his staff in a month. His eyes, cold and gray as winter steel, sweep over Naomi with the practiced disdain of someone who spent decades sorting people into categories. "May I help you?" The words come out like an accusation. Naomi meets his gaze steadily. "I am interested in viewing some pieces from your diamond collection." David's laugh is sharp enough to cut glass. "I'm sure you are. Perhaps I could direct you to our more accessible collections. We have some lovely silver-plated items on sale." The words hang in the air like a challenge. Around them, the ballet of retail continues. White hands receive champagne. Brown hands are ignored or watched. Naomi's heart aches, not for herself, but for every customer who's walked through these doors and felt this poison. She thinks of her younger self, 20 years ago, turned away from stores just like this one. The anger she's kept banked for decades flickers to life, but her face remains serene. "I'd prefer to see the diamonds," she says quietly. "Specifically the Aurora collection you featured in last month's Vogue spread." Claire appears at David's elbow like a summoned demon. Her smile is all teeth and no warmth. "The Aurora collection starts at $50,000, she announces, loud enough for nearby customers to hear. "We require extensive verification before showing such pieces. Credit checks, employment verification, references." She studies Naomi's simple clothes with theatrical concern. "It's company policy for certain customers." The emphasis on certain lands like a slap. Naomi notices how Mrs. Langford, dripping in pearls, is currently trying on a $100,000 necklace with no questions asked. The contrast is as deliberate as it is cruel. "I understand," Naomi says, voice steady as bedrock. "What documentation would you need?" David steps closer, invading her personal space with the confidence of a man who's never faced consequences. "Listen carefully," he says, voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carries to every corner of the showroom. "We both know you can't afford anything here. This charade is embarrassing for everyone. Why don't you leave with whatever dignity you have left?" His breath smells of expensive coffee and cheap prejudice. Naomi doesn't step back. She's faced down hostile boardrooms, navigated million-dollar negotiations, built an empire in an industry that wanted her to fail. This small man with his smaller mind doesn't frighten her, but he should fear her. I'm a customer, Naomi states simply. I have the right to view any item in this store. Claire scoffs, her manicured nails tapping against the glass case like a countdown to disaster. Rights. The only right you have is to leave before we call security. Some people just don't understand when they're not wanted. She looks to the growing audience of customers for validation, finding it in their nervous titters and averted gazes. Naomi's phone vibrates in her pocket. Emails from her executives. Updates on acquisitions. A reminder about tonight's charity gala where she'll write a check for more money than this store makes in a month. She ignores it all, focusing on the test unfolding before her. Ethan Cole, the security guard, approaches reluctantly. He's young, maybe 25, with skin as dark as Naomi's and eyes that apologize even as his job demands he act. Ma'am, he begins, then stops, something in Naomi's bearing making him hesitate. David notices the pause and his face darkens. Ethan, escort this woman to the door, now! The command cracks like a whip. Ethan shifts uncomfortably. Has she done something wrong, Mr. Blake? The question hangs in the air like an act of rebellion. David's face flushes red. Are you questioning me? Do you want to join her on the street? The threat is naked. Ugly. Naomi sees Ethan's jaw tighten, sees him weigh his principles against his rent, his dignity against his paycheck. She's been there. They all have. It's all right, Naomi tells Ethan gently. I'll need just a few more minutes. I'm waiting for someone. David laughs, the sound sharp and cruel. Waiting for someone? Let me guess. Your cousin who's a lawyer? Your friend who knows the owner? I've heard every story, seen every scam. You people always have an angle. The words you people land like punches, each one calculated to wound. The audience grows. Mrs. Langford clutches her pearls, literally. A young couple records on their phones, sensing drama. Claire preens, enjoying her role in the show. Should I call the real police, Mr. Blake? I don't think our security is equipped to handle this situation. Naomi pulls out her phone, movements deliberate and calm. I'll make this easy for everyone, she says, scrolling through her contacts. Let me just notify my colleague that I'll be delayed. David snatches at the phone, patience finally snapping. Enough of this circus. Naomi pulls back, protecting the device, and in that moment of struggle, David's hand connects with her face. The slap is loud, shocking, final. Time seems to stop. The sound echoes off marble and crystal, bouncing back, multiplied. Naomi's head snaps to the side. A thin line of blood appears at the corner of her mouth where her teeth cut her lip. The phone clatters to the floor, its screen cracking against Italian marble that costs more per square foot than most people make in a week. For a moment, nobody moves. Nobody breathes. David's chest heaves, his face a mixture of satisfaction and dawning horror at what he's done. Claire's smile freezes. Ethan steps forward, then stops, caught between duty and decency. The customers stand like statues, their comfortable world suddenly tilted off its axis. Naomi slowly turns her head back, her hand rising to touch her cheek. The mark is already rising red against brown skin, but her eyes burn with something that makes David take an involuntary step back. She bends down, picks up her cracked phone with deliberate grace. Thank you, she says quietly. You've just made this very simple. She dials with steady fingers, putting the phone on speaker. The cracked screen still works. A small mercy, Olivia Grant, a crisp voice answers. Naomi, where are you? Olivia's voice carries the kind of authority that comes from running global operations. Lux and Crown 5th Avenue, Naomi replies, her voice carrying clearly through the silent showroom. I need you here immediately. Bring James from legal, the full security team, and make sure David from PR is on standby. Olivia's tone sharpens. Are you all right? What's happening? Naomi touches her swelling cheek. I've just been physically assaulted by the store manager. David Blake struck me in front of approximately 20 witnesses. The silence that follows is deafening. 10 minutes, Olivia says, her voice now cold as Arctic wind. Don't move. Don't let anyone leave. The line goes dead. David's face goes from red to white. Who was that? Naomi doesn't answer. Instead, she turns to Ethan. Young man, I'm going to need you to make a choice in the next few minutes. It might be the most important one of your career. She addresses the room at large, her voice carrying the authority that built an empire. I suggest everyone remain where they are. What happens next will be educational. Claire tries to rally. This is ridiculous. You can't keep customers hostage with your lies and threats. But her voice wavers. Something in Naomi's bearing, in her calm certainty, has shifted the room's energy. Mrs. Langford quietly sets down the necklace she was examining. The young couple continues filming, their phones capturing every moment. David attempts to reassert control. Everyone, please continue shopping. This person will be removed shortly, but nobody moves. They're all watching Naomi, who stands in the center of the showroom like the eye of a hurricane, calm while destruction gathers around her. Minutes tick by. David's breathing grows labored. He whispers urgently to Claire, who scurries to the office, presumably to check corporate databases to figure out who they've just assaulted. Naomi catalogs every face, every reaction. She sees fear beginning to creep into David's eyes, watches Claire's frantic typing through the office window, notices how customers start to whisper among themselves. The slap mark throbs in time with her heartbeat, but she doesn't touch it again. Let them see what their prejudice looks like painted on dark skin. Sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Not police, private security, the kind that protects billionaires and their interests. David hears them too, and something in him breaks. Listen, he starts, moving toward Naomi with his hands out. There's been a misunderstanding. I never meant, that is, you were being aggressive, and I simply... Naomi holds up one hand and he stops mid-sentence. Mr. Blake, she says quietly, I've been recording since I walked in. Every word, every insult, every you people, every policy that only applies to certain customers. Would you like to continue explaining how I deserve to be struck? The doors burst open. Olivia Grant enters first, her Armani suit and Louboutin heels clicking against marble like a war drum. Behind her, a phalanx of security in dark suits, legal counsel with briefcases, and a PR team already on their phones. Olivia's eyes find Naomi immediately, taking in the swelling cheek, the cracked phone, the blood at the corner of her mouth. Her face goes from professional concern to personal fury in a heartbeat. My God, Naomi, she breathes, then louder for everyone to hear. Ms. Carter, are you all right? The name drops into the silence like a bomb. Carter as in Carter Luxury Group, as in the name etched in gold in the building's lobby, on every paycheck, on every contract. Claire appears in the office doorway, her laptop clutched to her chest, her face the color of spoiled milk. Mr. Blake, she whispers, but her voice carries in the silence. Oh God, David doesn't need her to finish. The truth is written in the horror dawning across her face. Naomi Carter, CEO, owner. The woman he just slapped owns everything he can see. No, David says, the word coming out as a moan. No, that's not. You can't be... Naomi turns to Olivia. I need a full audit of this location. Every hiring practice, every customer complaint, every incident report for the last 5 years. She turns to the head of security. Please ensure no one leaves until we've taken their statements. I want every second of security footage from the last hour preserved. Finally, she faces David, who has somehow shrunk, his expensive suit no longer fitting properly. Mr. Blake, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out after you've provided your statement to our legal team. Wait. David's voice cracks. Please, I didn't know. If I had known who you were. And there it is, the admission that destroys him. Not that he was wrong to assault a customer, but that he was wrong to assault this particular customer. Naomi's eyes flash. If you had known who I was, so you admit you would treat me with respect if you knew I had money and power, but felt free to humiliate and assault me when you thought I was just another black woman shopping above her station? The room collectively holds its breath. David opens his mouth, closes it, trapped by his own words. Olivia steps forward, phone already out. I'm calling the police. Assault charges, hate crime enhancement, given the clear discriminatory pattern. David drops to his knees, the movement so sudden several people gasp. Please, he begs. I have a family, children. I'll lose everything. Naomi looks down at him, this man who minutes ago stood so tall in his prejudice. "You have children," she repeats slowly. "Tell me, Mr. Blake, what values are you teaching them? What lessons about humanity, about dignity, about the worth of every person who walks through these doors?" Ethan steps forward, his decision made. "Ms. Carter," he says clearly, "I witnessed everything. Mr. Blake and Ms. Reed have been systematically discriminating against customers of color for months. I have dates, times, incidents. I've been documenting it all, but I was afraid to report it, afraid of losing my job." Naomi turns to him, her expression softening. "Your name?" "Ethan Cole." "Mr. Cole," she nods. "Your courage in speaking up now is noted. Olivia, make sure Mr. Cole is promoted to head of security for this location. Effective immediately. 30% raise." Claire makes a sound like a stepped-on cat. "You can't do this. I was just following policy." David said. She stops, realizing she's digging her own grave. "Following policy?" Naomi's voice cuts through her protests. "Show me the written policy that says black customers need extra verification. Show me where it says we treat people differently based on their appearance." Claire's mouth opens and closes like a fish. It's not written, but everyone knows." "Everyone knows what exactly?" Naomi presses. "That this is how we maintain our exclusive clientele?" The crowd of customers shifts restlessly. Some try to edge toward the doors, but security blocks their path politely but firmly. "We'll need brief statements from everyone," James Luo, the lead attorney, announces. "This won't take long." Mrs. Langford clutches her Birkin bag. "This is outrageous. We're customers. You can't treat us like criminals." Naomi turns to her, and something in her gaze makes the older woman step back. "You're right, Mrs. Langford, you are customers. Customers who stood by and watched while I was humiliated, profiled, and assaulted. Customers who smiled and nodded when Mr. Blake suggested I didn't belong here. Tell me, what does that make you?" The woman's face flushes. "I didn't, that is, you never what?" Naomi asks quietly. "Never spoke up? Never questioned why I was being treated differently? Or never thought it was wrong until you realized I owned this place? Other customers find fascinating things to study on the floor, the ceiling, anywhere but Naomi's face." The young couple with the phone steps forward. "We got it all on video," the woman says. "Every word, every action, including the slap." She looks at David with disgust. "We'll share it with your lawyers, but it's also going live. People need to see this." David makes a strangled sound. "You can't. I'll sue. Defamation, privacy violations." James finally turns to him. "Actually, Mr. Blake, you have no expectation of privacy in a public retail space. And truth is an absolute defense against defamation. You did strike Ms. Carter. You did discriminate against her. Multiple witnesses can attest to both facts." He turns to Naomi. "We can have criminal charges filed within the hour. The civil suit will follow. Given the clear pattern of discrimination and the physical assault, we're looking at significant damages." Naomi nods, then addresses the room again. "I want to be very clear about what happens next. This store will close for a full week for comprehensive retraining. Every employee, from maintenance to management, will undergo intensive diversity and inclusion education. Those who can't or won't embrace our actual values, that every customer deserves respect regardless of their appearance, will find employment elsewhere." She pauses, letting the words sink in. "This is not about revenge. It's about justice. And justice means changing the system that allowed this to happen." Olivia's phone buzzes. She checks it, then shows the screen to Naomi. The video is already going viral. 3 million views in the first 10 minutes. Lux Crown Justice is trending. Naomi feels no satisfaction in the numbers, only a deep weariness. How many times has this happened without cameras, without consequences? How many people have been driven from stores, made to feel less than human, told they don't belong? "Let it spread," she says. "Let everyone see what prejudice looks like in practice. Let them see that wealth and position don't insulate you from hate. They just give you the power to fight back." David hasn't moved from his knees. Tears stream down his face, but Naomi can't tell if they're from remorse or self-pity. "I'm ruined," he whispers. "Completely ruined." Claire stands frozen by the office door, clutching her laptop like a life preserver. The security team efficiently takes statements, their questions professional but thorough. The young couple uploads their video, the digital age ensuring that David's actions will live forever in the cloud. Ethan coordinates with the new security protocols, his shoulders straight with newfound authority. Naomi walks slowly through her store, seeing it with fresh eyes. Every display, every price tag, every carefully curated collection represents her vision, her success. But what good is it if the people selling her dream don't believe in its values? She stops at a mirror, studying her reflection. The mark on her cheek has darkened to purple, a badge of dishonor that speaks louder than words. She thinks of her grandmother, who cleaned houses for women who wouldn't let her use the front door. Of her mother, who was followed through stores by security guards who assumed she was there to steal. Of her daughter, who will inherit a different world if Naomi has anything to say about it. Ms. Carter. Ethan appears at her elbow. The police have arrived. They need your statement. She nods, straightening her simple t-shirt. Thank you, Ethan. And thank you for documenting what you saw. That took courage. He meets her eyes. My little sister loves shopping. She's 16. Saves every penny for nice things. Last month she came here for her birthday. They made her cry. His voice hardens. I should have spoken up then. I'm sorry it took this long. You're speaking up now, Naomi says gently. That's what matters. The police officers are professional, their questions clinical. Naomi recounts the events without emotion, sticking to facts. The video evidence makes their job simple. David has read his rights. The silver clicking of handcuffs, a sound that seems to echo through the store. He's led out through the same doors Naomi entered, past the windows displaying jewels worth kingdoms under the logo of the company he thought he represented. Claire is escorted to a small office to give her statement, her designer heels clicking nervously against the floor. She keeps shooting glances at Naomi, perhaps hoping for mercy, finding only justice. As the afternoon wears on, the crowd disperses. Statements are given, contact information collected, consequences set in motion. The young couple approaches Naomi before leaving. We're sorry, the woman says. We should have said something sooner. Spoken up when he first started hassling you. Naomi studies them. Both white, both young, both holding phones that captured injustice but didn't prevent it. You recorded it, she says finally. That's more than most would do. But next time, and there will be a next time somewhere for someone, speak up before it gets to violence. Use your voices, not just your cameras. They nod, chastened, and leave. Olivia appears with ice wrapped in a Hermes scarf. For your face, she says, her own eyes suspiciously wet. Naomi, I'm so sorry. I should have caught this. Should have known what was happening here. We have 200 stores, Olivia, Naomi says, pressing the ice to her swelling cheek. How many more David Blakes are out there? How many Claire Reeds? How many customers have we lost? Not to competition, but to hatred. Olivia's shoulders slump. I don't know, but we'll find out. Every store, every manager, every policy. We'll tear it all down if we have to and rebuild it, right? The store empties except for Naomi's team and a skeleton crew of employees who seem shell-shocked by the day's events. Ethan coordinates with the cleaning staff, ensuring they're treated with the respect they deserve. Naomi watches him work, seeing leadership qualities that were always there, just waiting for an opportunity. She thinks of all the talent wasted, all the potential squandered by systems that judge worth by color rather than character. Her phone buzzes with messages from board members, from other CEOs, from activists who see in this moment a chance for real change. Tomorrow, she'll face the cameras, give statements, turn this personal humiliation into a teachable moment for corporate America. But tonight, she just wants to go home, hug her daughter, and ice her face in peace. Before leaving, she gathers the remaining employees. They cluster nervously, unsure whether they're about to be fired en masse. Naomi looks at each face, seeing fear, confusion, and in some cases a dawning understanding. What happened today was not an isolated incident, she begins. It was a symptom of a disease that has infected not just this store, but too many places like it. We sell beauty, luxury, dreams, but we've been ugly in how we decide who deserves those dreams. She pauses, letting the words sink in. That changes now. Not tomorrow. Not next week now. Each of you has a choice, she continues. Stay and be part of the solution, or leave and remain part of the problem. If you stay, Know that things will be different. Every customer who walks through our doors will be treated with dignity. Every single one. If you can't commit to that, if you think some people deserve respect and others don't, then Lux and Crown is no longer the place for you. She looks at Ethan. Mr. Cole will be conducting individual meetings with each of you over the coming days. Be honest with him. Be honest with yourselves, because I promise you what happened today will never happen again on my watch. The employees disperse slowly, whispering among themselves. Some look relieved, others worried. A few approach Ethan immediately, eager to share their own stories of witnessing discrimination, of being silenced by management, of wanting to speak up but fearing for their jobs. Naomi watches it all, the ice against her face, a cold reminder of the price of change. Olivia walks her to the waiting car where her driver, Robert, takes one look at her face and mutters something under his breath that would make a sailor blush. To the house, Robert, Naomi says, settling into the leather seats. And take the long way. I need to think. As the car glides through Manhattan traffic, Naomi closes her eyes and lets the day wash over her. The humiliation burns, but underneath it something else flames higher, determination. She built this empire to create beauty, to help people feel special, to democratize luxury. Somewhere along the way, that vision got corrupted, twisted into another tool of exclusion. But she's still here, still standing, still fighting. And now, everyone knows exactly who she is and what she stands for. Her phone lights up with a text from her daughter. Mom, saw the video. Are you okay? Love you. Naomi types back, I'm fine, baby. Sometimes doing the right thing hurts. See you soon. She looks at her reflection in the window, the city lights blurring past. The mark on her face will fade, but the mark she's about to leave on this industry won't. 1 month later, Naomi stands in the same spot where David Blake slapped her. The store gleams around her, but something fundamental has changed. The staff is more diverse, their smiles genuine rather than calculated. Ethan stands proud in his new role, training a team that reflects the city they serve. The Aurora collection glitters in its case, waiting for anyone who wants to dream. Naomi wears a simple black dress today, her CEO badge prominently displayed. She's here for the grand reopening. The cameras are ready to capture a moment of redemption. A month ago, she tells the assembled crowd, I walked into this store as a test. What I found broke my heart but strengthened my resolve. Prejudice doesn't just hurt individuals. It poisons organizations, destroys trust, limits potential. She touches her cheek, where only the faintest shadow remains of David's assault. But violence, whether physical or emotional, is never the answer to difference. It's the last resort of those who've run out of ideas, out of humanity, out of hope. She looks directly into the main camera. To everyone who's ever been made to feel unwelcome in a place of business, who's been followed by security, questioned about their right to exist in certain spaces, told they don't belong, I see you. I am you, and I promise you, at Lux and Crown, you will always belong. The crowd applauds, but Naomi isn't finished. To our former employees who chose prejudice over people, who thought customer service meant serving only certain customers, I hope you've learned not just that your actions have consequences, but that every person deserves dignity. That's not corporate policy. That's human decency. Mr. Blake is serving 6 months in prison, she continues, voice steady. He's lost his career, his reputation, his freedom. But I hope he gains something more valuable. Understanding. The understanding that when you diminish others based on their appearance, you diminish yourself. When you assume someone's worth from their clothes or skin color, you reveal your own worthlessness. She pauses. The weight of the moment settles over the crowd. We've implemented new policies, new training, new leadership, but policies don't change hearts. Training doesn't cure hate. Only we can do that. One interaction at a time, one choice at a time, one person at a time. Ethan steps forward, presenting Naomi with a small box. Inside, a custom piece from the Aurora collection, a phoenix pendant rising from ashes. From the staff, he says, voice thick with emotion, because you showed us how to rise. Naomi fastens it around her neck, the diamonds catching the light like tears transformed into joy. We rise together, she says simply, or we don't rise at all. The crowd disperses eventually, customers flowing in to shop in a store transformed. Naomi watches from the mezzanine as people of all colors, all backgrounds, all economic levels move freely through the space. No whispered warnings, no suspicious glances, no arbitrary rules, just beauty available to all who seek it. Olivia joins her, tablet in hand. The numbers are extraordinary. Sales up 40%, job applications up 300%. The hashtag has generated 2 billion impressions. 60 Minutes wants an interview. Naomi waves it all away. The numbers don't matter if we don't maintain the change. This isn't a moment, Olivia. It's a movement. Every store, every day, every customer, that's the only metric I care about. What about the others? The ones we found? She asks. Olivia's expression darkens. 17 stores with similar patterns. 43 employees terminated. 62 in remedial training. 3 more managers facing criminal charges. It was worse than we thought. Naomi nods, unsurprised. And it would have continued if I hadn't walked in that door. How many people suffered in silence? How many talents did we lose? How many customers did we turn away? She shakes her head. We can't change the past, but we own the future. Make sure every store knows this is who we are now. Not because it's good business, though it is. Not because it's legally safer, though it is. But because it's right. As closing time approaches, Naomi makes one last walk through the store. In the shoe department, a young black girl tries on designer heels while her mother watches with pride. In fine jewelry, an elderly Asian man selects an anniversary gift, attended by a patient saleswoman who speaks his language. By the door, a homeless woman admires the window display. Ethan personally escorts her in, offering her the same respect as any other visitor. This is what Naomi built the empire for. Not just luxury, but dignity. Not just beauty, but belonging. Not just success, but significance. The slap that echoed through marble halls a month ago has become something else. A wake-up call that reverberated through corporate boardrooms and retail floors alike. As she prepares to leave, a young employee approaches nervously. Miss Carter, I just wanted to say, my cousin applied here because of what you did. She said if you could stand up to that, maybe there's hope for the rest of us. Naomi smiles, the action no longer pulling at healing skin. There's always hope. Sometimes it just takes one person refusing to be silent. One person saying enough. One person remembering that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. The lights dim as the store closes, but Naomi knows the real work continues tomorrow and every day after. In boardrooms where policy is made, in training sessions where minds are opened, in every interaction between human beings who must choose between prejudice and respect. She touches the phoenix pendant at her throat, thinking of all the fires yet to walk through, all the ashes yet to rise from. Her driver waits outside, but she pauses at the door, looking back at the transformed space. Somewhere, David Blake sits in a cell, hopefully contemplating more than just his losses. Somewhere, Claire Reed looks for work, her resume tainted by viral video evidence of her cruelty. Somewhere, a young person watches the video and thinks twice before judging someone by appearance. And here in this store where humiliation turned to vindication, where prejudice met justice, where a slap became a rallying cry, Naomi Carter stands tall. Not because she's a billionaire, not because she owns the building, but because she owns her truth. And that truth is simple. Every person who walks through these doors deserves respect. Not someday, not eventually, now. The phoenix rises, and with it, hope. The champagne has gone flat. The crowds have dispersed. The cameras have found new stories to chase. But in stores across the globe, in hearts across communities, in minds across generations, the message resonates. You belong here. We all do. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about transformation. Naomi transformed a moment of violence into a movement for change. She transformed hurt into hope, prejudice into progress, a slap into a statement that echoed far beyond marble halls. And in that echo, others find their voice, their courage, their power to say, never again. Not here, not anywhere, not to anyone. The story ends where it began, in a luxury store where dreams are sold. But now those dreams are available to all who dare to reach for them, regardless of the color of their skin or the size of their wallet. Because true luxury isn't about exclusion, it's about inclusion. True power isn't about putting others down, it's about lifting them up. And true justice isn't just about punishing the guilty, it's about creating a world where such guilt becomes unthinkable. Naomi walks out into the Manhattan night, head high, conscience clear, mission just beginning. Behind her, Lux and Crown gleams like a beacon, no longer a fortress of prejudice but a palace of possibility. And somewhere in the city, a young person who looks like her sees the news and thinks, if she can do it, so can I. That's the real victory, not the viral video or the trending hashtag or the justice served cold to those who deserved it. The real victory is in the hearts changed, the minds opened, the systems transformed. It's in every Ethan who finds his voice, every customer who finds respect, every employee who finds the courage to do right. The slap that started it all has faded to nothing, but what it sparked burns eternal. In every store, in every interaction, in every choice between prejudice and respect, the fire spreads. And from those flames, phoenix after phoenix rises until the sky is full of wings and the world is full of hope. This is how change happens. Not in grand gestures, but in daily choices. Not in perfect moments, but in messy confrontations. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Naomi Carter knows this. She's lived it. And now, because of one terrible moment that became a transformative one, thousands of others know it too. The revolution isn't televised. It's lived, one dignified interaction at a time. And it starts always with someone saying enough.